All right, so again, we have Vision 2030, how Saudi Arabia is building future healthcare solutions and infrastructure. I'm going to turn it over to the moderator. Mr. Mosa, if you would kindly take the stage and introduce your panelists with a short introduction, because all their bios are on the website, and time, as you know, is tight.
All right, thank you. Good morning, everyone. So the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has launched the very famous Vision 2030. As a Saudi Arabian living in the US for the past 15 years or so, and as a young, proud Saudi man, I was always very frustrated by the perception and the kind of questionings the kingdom has faced. So today, how many years are we into the vision announcements? 7 years, 6 years. People are all over the kingdom. They want to come, they want to invest, they want to have some sort of a seat. So today in this very important panel, over the next 39 minutes, we'll touch on how the kingdom is transforming healthcare. So we'll touch on the healthcare transformation, the human capital development, and we'll finish with innovation and technology. So we have very wonderful speakers. Their names are up there, and you will hear a lot of inside information. And if I was listening to this panel, I'll take notes, because this is what's shaping the future of healthcare in the kingdom. So I'll start with my fellow Saudi/Bostonian, Dr. Maliha Hashimi / Harvard alumni, partner, so there is no bias over here. So Maliha will talk about the healthcare transformation, how Saudi Arabia stands today, what has been achieved this far in 5 minutes, and then we'll turn it to Jackie, what she can talk about the work that she's doing.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hi, everyone. It's really nice to be here today. I'm actually just flying in from Saudi. So it's nice to actually just be fresh back from the place that's by far, in my opinion, one of the most transformational places in the world. So if I was to describe how future feels like, electrifying, alive, that is the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia today. The type of transformations that have taken place in that country, you usually see them happen across countries over hundreds of years. And these transformations are happening within the past decade. So I'm very proud to see those transformations. And every time I return there and come back, it's another like, wow, this has also happened. So every time they're taking steps forward, which is something very, very fascinating to see that it can happen so quickly. And I think one of the most fascinating things about Saudi Arabia is that 70% of the population is under the age of 30. And it's a country that's moving with intention. So it's become from an oil economy country to an opportunity economy country. It's a country that used to be thought of as the desert country, but now it's the digital powerhouse. So we're seeing transformations across all sectors across Saudi Arabia. And just to start off with, Saudi Arabia is ranked as one of the 3 fastest growing digital governments across the world by the World Health Digital Index. And it's ranked second in terms of its digital readiness across the G20 presidencies. So for a country to be growing that quickly in that less time is fascinating. And aside from that, the government has a agenda, a strategy to embed AI across all sectors, in governments, in healthcare, in public sectors, across the national board. You see AI embedded everywhere that it's coming from. And I think one of the most fascinating things for me was that I was actually president in Saudi when COVID hit, and that was really where I felt the transformation really took another level, because Saudi was recorded as one of those few nations that had the least mortalities during that time across the world. And not only are they ready for that, but their digital transformation and the apps that they had, the AI-embedded apps, Sahati, Tawakkalna, Abshir, are by far world-renowned apps that are working better than you expect, and they had everything was actually online, digitized, when people were starting to pick up on those types of readiness across the world. And that actually picked up the healthcare transformation, and they're actually digitizing all patient records by 70% in Saudi Arabia, and they're creating accountable care models. And what's fascinating is that it's a country that has not only developed projects that will be taking the country to the next level, but it has made it its agenda to make it a country that's healthy by design. And not healthy by design just in terms of the public space, but in terms of the digital architecture that we're seeing today. And I'm really proud of that because I think this is something that is a nuance because while people and legacy systems are picking up to that, they're ready for the future. Actually, I felt this time I came from the future because of other developments that are taking place now. You know, the space agencies involved in children protection laws. There are so many things that are happening that are just amazing that are happening as we speak, and we're creating regulations and AI embeddedness and readiness all together at once with similar stakeholders and different stakeholders on the same table, which I feel like is a very, very interesting mix and so amazing to see that we can actually work together from different sectors to create an economy that's digitized and a healthcare system that's proactive than reactive.
So Dr. Hashmi, so basically you're saying you came from the future.
Yes.
All right. Okay, that's where the kingdom stands today. All right, thank you. So, Dr. Ying, what you're doing, and you're someone like who lived in, as General Petraeus was saying, the Boston-Cambridge area is one of the most innovative sites in the world. You came from that side of the world, where Maria and I are staying for right now. There had to be something that kind of attract you. I'm sure born in the folks from King Faisal Specialist Hospital, great people and so on and so forth. But what is it that attract you to that part of the world, to the kingdom? And what are you seeing right now? Where does it stand in your point of view?
I'm Jackie Ying. I'm actually from the New York area. I was born in Taiwan, raised in Singapore, and then I did my high school at Forest Hills, where we used to see the US Open right across the street. So I went to Cooper Union, which is down in the East Village, and then did my PhD at Princeton, then went on to be a professor at MIT. But after 12, 13 years at MIT, I went back to Singapore, and I was leading an Institute of Bioengineering and Nanotechnology under Agency for Science, Technology, and Research. Last year, I moved to Riyadh, and I must say that I've been very blessed. I live in some of the most dynamic places, from New York to Boston to Singapore, and now in Riyadh. And what is exciting about Saudi is that it always has a great deal of resources and wonderful people. I remember first stepping into King Faisal Specialist Hospital and Research Center about 14, 15 years ago, and there people were having the state-of-the-art sequences, looking at biomarkers for, unfortunately, a lot of rare diseases, genetic diseases. And what's remarkable now is that we have a very clear vision for this hospital to be one of the top 10 global hospitals. And what we are doing is basically make use of a lot of the resources that we have. For example, we have a lot of biosamples, and we are biobanking them centrally, and from there we are fishing out all the biomarkers through multi-omics with the help of AI and machine learning. And from there, we then can create novel therapeutics and diagnostics. For example, if it's a gene biomarker, we are developing RNA therapeutics. If it's a protein biomarker, like what we see the previous speaker talk about, for neurological diseases, then we develop a peptide therapeutics. These are the latest things that we can do with biologics, which is targeting the very specific biomarker, up or down regulate it, or fix it by changing it. And we also have CAR T-cell therapy. Dr. Bion, our CEO, has mentioned that we have developed and also manufacture our own CAR T-cell therapy. And we also are looking at other immunotherapy. And we have 3 cyclotrons. For more than 40 years, we have these 3 cyclotrons in the middle of the desert. It is a very unique hospital that is ahead of its time. Who would name such a major hospital, a specialist hospital and research center? So I'm honored to be the Chief Innovation and Research Officer here. Our goal is to basically look at how we can harness the latest biologics, therapeutics, diagnostics, and medical devices, and put all the translational research in a one-stop shop, I would call it, okay? By that, I mean harnessing the biomarkers, developing the specific therapeutics, and then we are building a major animal facilities, expanding it. We already have mice, rat, dog, sheep, goat, and baboons, right? And we are very blessed to have more than $220 million US dollars invested in us to develop the new GMP facilities, all with the goals of basically creating a one-stop shop from designing the therapeutics to manufacturing it and then bringing it to clinical trial with quality control and assurance. And by doing that, we hope that we create a very different approach, an integrated approach to research and innovation. Why? Because all of us have gone through the New York and Boston biotech bubble, which basically involves us going from places like MIT and then raising hundreds of millions of dollars to bring a new technology, right, to the market. But in this hospital, we can do all these different steps of the research and innovation and manufacturing, and then to the clinical trials. We have a lot of people with the most complicated diseases referred to the hospital. And so we have a critical mass for patients for clinical trials. The goal basically is we can do all of this and work with Saudi FDA and NIH to accelerate the clinical trials so that it will come out and benefit the patients with the very specific goal that we want to make it affordable. All these diseases that we're dealing with are not only plaguing Saudi Arabia and the region, but elsewhere. Okay, we want to make new therapeutics affordable and therefore democratizing the precision medicine that we are talking about. We believe this will have major socio-economic impact, and we would like to welcome you to come and work with us so that we create all these different new therapeutics and diagnostics to benefit everybody around the world.
So
Thank
the
you.
takeaway message that you're enjoying your stay in Riyadh, right?
Yes, scientifically
You're-
and research-wise, we love it.
As a
and,
researcher and
yes.
scientist yourself,
Yes.
basically you're finding an environment that you could work well with no bureaucracy from the FDA or the
I won't say
regulators.
we don't have bureaucracy. The hospital is 50 years old, but we have been transforming it, and we have a huge amount of resources.
Wonderful. So I always take a chance and a pride and a message that late King Faisal, may God bless his soul, 50 years ago, one day before he passed away, in an interview he was asked, how do you see the kingdom 50 years from today? And that was just before the opening, the official opening of the hospital. And this is what attests to the style of leadership that happens in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. That we work in an environment and in a style that's based in evolution. We grow in our own style, within our own values, and as General Petraeus was speaking earlier, he was like, well, the Saudis are going to have a chance to compete in science and technology and healthcare at the stage world. So we'll learn more about that. So late King Faisal, rahmatullah alayh, he said, I see the kingdom as a place of prosperity for the world. And these folks are actually trying to do that. And we've seen many, many examples that they talked about. But as the kingdom is growing through evolution, not revolution, human capital, local talents are important. So Dr. Abu Alfa, you're someone who has worked with medical students, residents, fellows for multiple decades. How do you see the difference Now you're getting students and fellows from the kingdom, from that side of the world. What kind of qualities do you see in those young physicians that you're training? And how do you think they would work? Would they have a chance to compete at a world stage as they're providing the best type of care to their patients, leading research projects and their areas of expertise, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Musa, and good afternoon, good morning to everybody. I'll tell you, it's beyond thrilling to just sit here and listen to all of this because I'm not Saudi. I'm originally from Lebanon, but I'll go very often to Saudi Arabia. And all that I can tell you, as Dr. Hashmi, who is a great friend as well, was telling you, this country, Saudi Arabia, is not going like this, it's going like this. And any of you who've been there, you can tell that. I was there just a few months ago, I'm going next month again. It's really incredible how much move there is in that regard. And at the essence of it is the population, which is very young and really eager to work and eager to produce and be part of the workforce. And for that matter, to answer Dr. Musa, we're very proud of really the collaboration that we've been having at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center in New York, where I work, and we collaboratively work with King Faisal. We are very proud, actually, she's in the back, but one of our first fellow ever from King Faisal at Memorial Sloan Kettering, who's doing amazingly well. I'm not putting you on the spot, Reem, but you're doing amazingly work. And we have another fellow just coming this morning, just arrived this morning. So definitely we're seeing the potential for the continued collaboration between Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center and King Faisal, mainly driven by the junior members of potential faculty or trainees as we see. Now what's important though is what are we doing? It's not a matter of just, okay, you train, you kind of like come at the probably best cancer center in the world here at Sloan Kettering in New York, but like where do you go from there? And what we're really very proud is to see King Faisal really ready to kind of embrace and then support the trainees and bring them back into King Faisal to become the workforce of the institution. And to that matter, we're not necessarily just like producing work here that relates just to things that are of interest here in New York or to cancer in general, but we're looking at things that are very specific to what really is important for Saudi Arabia. And this is what I love very much what Dr. Ying mentioned in regard to all the genetic alterations that are occurring. To that matter, for example, we already are collaboratively working with King Faisal to understand better the genetic alterations that occur in the population of Saudi Arabia, which is a rather pretty kind of, perplexed or complex kind of population because it's a big country, to understand better where do things come from, how patients end up with a certain cancer, and more importantly, at the end of it, as we just heard from the previous speaker, how can we build in prevention into this? So this collaborative work is a good example about how the collaborations continue to be going on between King Faisal and Sloan Kettering. And we, of course, hope that we're going to have more opportunities for that matter.
Okay. What kind of qualities are you seeing? It doesn't have to be Reem. I don't know what is Reem, but it's not about Reem. Which kind of quality are you seeing in the Saudi residents that you've... Well, you get residents from all over the world, from Europe, from Asia, from the MENA region.
Well, to be fair, we're not comparing here, but however, we can just put like on the metrics, and it's not like really because anybody in the audience is really, it matters to them, but we're looking at like not 10 over 10, we're looking at 11 over 10. Physicians are very well trained. We love very much their professionalism, their character build-up, and same time their engagement with the patients, and more importantly, their readiness to really understand at the essence of it, what does it mean to the patient. And what we appreciate in all of this is how they can really always connect to what's going on in Saudi Arabia, what's happening to my own people in Saudi Arabia. And that's really what we're very proud of them.
So can they coach?
Absolutely. Absolutely. They're ready to coach and they're ready to train. And definitely it's going to be a walk and walk. We don't like to walk with King Faisal. We like to run with King Faisal.
Okay. All right. So as human developments and hospital systems are kind of getting ready and getting prepared because and hospital systems are growing and evolving, we realize that healthcare is a very complex system. right? You've got folks who are engineers, you've got folks who are investors, folks who are business developers, and that requires a lot of partnerships with folks around the globe. And there is always a gap in forming partnerships and when it comes to cultures. Sama Saleh, you're someone who's worked with multiple folks from around the world in the World Banks or Plug and Play, et cetera, et cetera. And lately you have been working with the Ministry of Health, you're working with folks in the kingdom and the ground. I'd like to learn more about your experience in forming those relationships. Which kind of shifts in the culture are you witnessing? And just tell us what really makes that place ready to attract investments in healthcare.
Yeah, totally. So thanks for the invitation. As you could probably tell by my name, I'm from Kansas. I'm being serious. I'm actually from Kansas. But I have Middle Eastern roots, obviously. But I'm with Plug and Play. We're the most active venture capital fund in the world. We do about 250 investments a year in early stage, pre-seed to seed startups. Prior to Plug and Play, was part of the $28 billion Cerner Oracle acquisition, built out the health equity team there at Cerner into Oracle. You know, if you're into the EHR culture, this is like my native tongue at this point. And then in my previous life, I was in economic development at the World Bank. And I wanted more agency, so I decided to join venture capital as a form of economic development. And, you know, now this brings us into the discussion that we've been having with the Saudi Ministry of Health and different entities. And, you know, look, at the end of the day, we work with universities from across the globe, here domestically in the US, tech transfer, and in the previous panel with the partner from KKR, he mentioned that, or the co-panelist with the partner from KKR mentioned that in Cambridge, the University of Cambridge did not get royalties, while Stanford and UCSF did get royalties, right? And I think that there's a difference between what we're seeing in Saudi Arabia in the IP development, academic space, compared to the US, right? I think, frankly, here, it's much harder for scientists to commercialize their IP compared to a place like Saudi, where I think it's, right now, they've learned from the mistakes that we've made in the US, right? If you're not in premier institutions, like, you know, if you're not in Sand Hill Road in Stanford and Silicon Valley, you're probably not building unicorns for the most part, or in MIT or at Harvard, right? And, you know, just by proximity, I had nothing to do. I joined the fund 2 years ago, but we have 35 unicorns in our portfolio. So a unicorn is $1 billion plus valuated company. And it's partly because we had proximity to Sand Hill Road, where 70% of venture capital dollars are deployed, right? And I think the genius of Saudi right now is that they're able to really learn from what has been done in Silicon Valley. So yeah, we're planning on launching a healthcare innovation program that we will hopefully announce at Global Health Exhibition. And it's been great.
All right. So you worked with folks from around the globe. And it seems like people make mistakes. And they make big mistakes in healthcare and innovation. And the takeaway message is that the Saudis are able to learn from other people's mistakes. But the question, what is the perception of you going and forming partnerships with the Ministry of Health and venture capitals in Saudi, or venture capitals that are going from the US to invest in Saudi unicorns or Saudi startups? So what's the perception like that you have from this experience this far?
So I'll preface.
And feel free, you could talk about what can improve, what you would like to see different.
Yeah, so I'll preface with this. We will go, so I think one of the mistakes of venture capital funds in general is they say, we want the IP to come to us, and then we'll invest in it. So you have to make your way to Silicon Valley or New York City, which is the #2 top venture capital market, arguably in the world, but definitely in the US. We say, no, we're going to come to you, right? So we have an office with the Prime Minister of Cambodia, and we're investing in IT startups in Cambodia, right? Who's going to Cambodia? Which venture capital fund is going, right? And it's not because we're necessarily better or not. It's because that is the strategic imperative that we have, which is we want to come to you, right? So frankly, at the end of the day, we will find better returns if we have a diversity in startups that we're investing in. And I think that's like fundamental. That's number one. And if you're like KKR, if you're a private equity fund, and you need to reduce your operating, say your operating budget is $100 million, using AI will reduce those operating, your operating budget will be cut by 30 to 40% if you're using AI the right way, right? So let it be wherever it is. If the technology is good, we will come. And I think that's what we're seeing in Saudi.
So
Can I
should
just add
invest?
one thing to that?
Well, should I invest in Saudi startups? Do you have any tips?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay,
I mean, totally.
we'll have
Yeah.
to talk after this.
Just something about technology. One of the things I think everyone should know is there's a red carpet atmosphere instead of red tape. So it's an enabler sort of environment there. And I think that is also something that's really taking off. We see it in King Faisal Specialist Hospital. We see it across in different projects. But it's an enabling environment. And I think that is very, very helpful in a future forward sort of mindset that we all live in.
Glad to hear that. So we know that innovation doesn't just happen, right? I work for the highest funded hospital, the National Institute of Health. Massachusetts General Hospital is a very good hospital. Our research program gets a lot funded from the government, not because they like us as a hospital or as the number one founding teaching hospital of Harvard Medical School, but there is a unique system that enables research and innovation. And because of our track record, Ether was founded 177 years ago at Massachusetts General Hospital and was used for the very first time at Mass General. And it does take hospitals a lot of work in order to come up with strategies to enable continuous research and innovation. And that big responsibility falls on you, Dr. Ying. So I'd like to hear about the work that you're doing
Sure.
in order to lead the research work, take it to the next level, and make sure it's sustainable.
I think one thing that people might not understand unless you visited Saudi Arabia is how friendly the people are, friendly and supportive. So I brought quite a number of people from Asia, different parts of Asia, and also from the West to Riyadh. And they are happily settled there, focusing on their work, and amazed about the fact that how supportive the hospital and the government are in terms of building up infrastructure. So we are well poised to basically quadruple the research talents that we have in the next decade. And this is accompanied by tremendous investment in infrastructure and also research facilities so that we can do state-of-the-art multidisciplinary research. And this is something that is very different because very often in the hospital, you find that people are doing biological research. They're fairly basic. But what we are trying to do is really focus on translational work, things that you can see tangible impact in going into therapeutics, diagnostic, and medical devices. And that means we really have to change the way we conduct research to not only have biologists, but to have chemists, pharmacists, and engineers, biomedical, electrical, and the mechanical engineers, along with computer scientists, right? This is really the power of innovation, bringing in the engineering and turning it into something that can be applied. And what is even more important is how we partner up with the government agency. For example, Saudi FDA, I alluded to. They will work with us to look at how we bring in the new therapeutics and accelerate it through the approval process from the very start. okay, or doing clinical trials. And we are working with Saudi NIH, Research Development Innovation Authority, to work on research grants that can benefit people from research in the lab bench all the way to clinical trials. So there are a lot of different schemes that basically they work hand in hand with what we are doing and strongly supporting that. Not just in the hospital, but also with our partners, including small companies and as well as large companies. So the whole infrastructure, the way that is building up, basically jumps through a lot of the problems that we have seen that with very different economies. And what is really important, it is doing something that is going to be created as something uniquely Saudi Arabia, okay, that will really benefit the people. I think in this country, you will see huge amount of money invested in education and also in healthcare, okay? So this is really something that the government has prioritized. And to move away from the oil and gas industry to pharmaceuticals, to biologics and medtech industry make a lot of sense. And this is where there's a lot of opportunities. And we are opening up basically very rapidly to welcome the large companies as well as the small, medium enterprise to come work with us. So there's tremendous opportunities, and you will find people to be very welcoming. And this is the part that I think is most exciting for all of us.
All right, thank you. Dr. Abu Alfa, in 1 minute, as a scientist, as a physician, you conduct research. What is the one problem that you hope that it can just go away from your system and folks in the kingdom can learn from?
Well, no doubt that Saudi Arabia is already started. It's not like we have to really make sure that none of us think that if nothing happened so far. There's a lot going on. Sloan Kettering, we've been doing a virtual connectivity in regard to education for the last 17 years. And who was with us from day one? Saudi Arabia. Non-stop, every month for the last 17 years, we have virtual connectivity to really talk about things. You guys can talk to me about how 17 years ago, before Zoom, we were able to connect. It's quite fascinating when you have 7 phone lines to build up a connection for a video camera. But definitely, this is definitely to be enhancing further with. And the other thing in regard to, this is the education part, the research part is going to be very critical. And one more time, we are really trying to innovate in a way that really pertains to the population wherever we are in the world. During the pandemic of the COVID-19, we had actually a meeting in regard to looking into Medical Diplomatic Act in regard to cancer, because after all, cancer affects all of us wherever we are in the world. So Sloan Kettering led on itself to call and contact 72 physicians from 36 countries that are there in areas of conflict or close to conflict. And guess how many physicians, which is the highest number, came from Saudi Arabia? 3, the highest number of any other country in the world. It tells you that they are reading into things way ahead, and already they're started. So it's a matter of like embed more and evolve more on those concepts and enhance education, as you said, to make sure there's a return regard to further coach the next generation as well. And number 2 is ask scientific questions that pertain to my own people, and this is what we hope to see more of.
All right, wonderful. So, Osama, what is it that you want to see in research institutions and hospitals before you go to them and be like, okay, I want to invest in your startups, or I want to give some more money to your hospital, or any of the startups within your healthcare system?
That's a good question. So just last week, I was actually in Copenhagen, and I was at the Novo Nordisk has a really cool bioinnovation institute where, you know, they're accelerating and investing in, like, I think since 2018, they invested in like 80 startups. It was great, just understanding what's coming out of this market and where can we make our bets. And, you know, I think all over in different markets, we're seeing these innovation hubs pop up. And I think within the next 5 to 10 years, I would love to see a homegrown Saudi unicorn, right? That's like one of my goals, right? That I would love to help catalyze and make happen, because I think that we can.
Probably there are, and other investors are beating you, but what is it that you want to see in order to jump on it, be the very first investor on it?
what kind of
Like, what is the sign? Like, what would make you go and set up an office in Saudi, for example, and visit hospitals?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's an addressable market. I think that it's attracting good customers for the startups, because there has to be a difference between, you know, your pure like therapeutics play and then your tech bio plays. And we sit, I would say, more in the like tech bio space is where we like to invest more. Although we were the first investor into Guardant Health, so we do like the, you know, diagnostics and whatnot. But I would say if there's strong research centers, it's a very, very good sign. If there's good hospitals, and if there's customers for startups to actually grow so that they can build their revenue and then hopefully become that billion-dollar company, that's what makes it VC investable, right?
Okay. All right. So there are some Saudi unicorns, startups, AI solutions in healthcare. I personally don't know much about them. So, Dr. Hashmi, you're a lot more involved. So could you give us an overview of some of the unicorns, the AI-based solutions that are coming out of Saudi? And we've got 4 minutes, so we want to close very soon.
Sure. Just something that's very, very interesting to see now and is developing more is personalized precision care. It's taken a new route in Saudi, and so proactive prevention, the prevention wellness side, the longevity side has really, really taken a new market, and they're really looking into AI-driven solutions. Personalized healthcare, digital twins are in the talks. You know, they are being, you know, now embedded in the kingdom. I'm part of one of those strategies, is bringing digital twins into the kingdom and really taking it to the next level of personalized precision care. And that's not only the only sort of steps they're taking. What's interesting is that all these startups that are coming in and these digital solutions that are happening, they're doing them in parallel or in collaboration with regulations. So I'm a health techie who's a regulator and a health techie, so it's very interesting to have that mix, but I sit on both fronts, on both sides. And for Saudi, I'm sitting on the regulatory side as well as the tech side. And what we're bringing in is we're bringing reformative regulations where we can embody ethical solutions that are future forward, where we're able to enable technology without compromising complete, data. We have data privacy, protection. We're trying to embed everything, values for children. We have, we're creating universities of tomorrow. They will not have walls anywhere. The classrooms will be without walls. Our hospitals will be sanctuaries. How do you do that without really having the proper regulations in place? You bring in different stakeholders from all sides, and some of them are a combination, like myself and others, who sit both. I'm a lawyer also by training, so we sit on both sides. So we're future forward, but we also bring in those sides of regulation. And what I find fabulous about Saudi is that making it red carpet, but at the same time, making sure that while it's red carpet, we have all the standards in place. And that's the exciting part.
Okay, this is a question that I'm curious to ask. So there's a red carpet treatment, wonderful people, the hospitality is great, the food is probably nice.
Food's great.
Yeah.
Food is
I
great.
think I gained 3 pounds in
the
my
dates are there.
past week in Saudi.
Yeah. But can you just find money everywhere and you come up with an idea that's not mature and that's not established and you just get investments, or
There's a process.
they're going through the process and you go through very thorough treatments and evaluations and due diligence. So who would like to take that?
I would do that. So what is really important, because I have quite a number of startups, and some of them I sold for $500
Well, I
million.
ask this because as a Saudi national, everybody sees me, they're like, oh, I have this wonderful idea, I want to take it to Saudi Arabia and going to make $100 million.
No, I would say the ecosystem is, although it's new, is sophisticated, because very often we will be talking to our colleagues at the Public Investment Fund, PIF, and they will say, Professor Jackie, can you help take a look at this case? Is the technology up to par? I said, sure, I'll give you free advice and consulting, provided that you look at some of these cases that's come to us with very interesting biomedical technology, but tell us whether the the business case is up to par, right? So we are doing this back and forth so that we make good investments, because ultimately, what is really important is that the funds go to people who deserve it and who will make a socioeconomic impact. And this is what it's all about. The hospital is all ready to put in a lot of in-kind contribution for animal studies, for clinical trials, etc., if the technology is great. And that's something that's very important. And you will also see national labs and university have a lot of incubator beside ourselves, and they are willing to incubate your startup companies with very minimal cost. Okay, and that's very important, because in Singapore and in the US, I really pay a bump just for renting and utilities and all kinds of miscellaneous charges. And in Saudi, you will have resources, provided that you have great ideas and people are sophisticated. So it's not like you can just go there and just grab whatever. Yeah.
Hey, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much. All right.
If I would want to say in 30 or 10 seconds pitch, one thing is that just about the, the PIF, the Public Investment Fund, it was about $150 billion in 2017, and it's over $700 billion as we speak today. And in 2030, the aim is $2 trillion. Despite having that, it loves initiatives for you to invest in Saudi. I would like for all to take that thought with them, is while Saudi will invest in you, invest in Saudi.
All right, thank you. Thank you. This is very well said. Appreciate it. And I think we finished on time. Thank you, everyone.